It was supposed to be just another weekend get-together. My friend Lauren had invited me to a house party in the suburbs, the kind with a backyard pool, overpriced liquor, and music so loud you could feel it in your bones. I wasn't really in the mood to go, but she had insisted. "Come on, Ava," she had pleaded. "You never go out anymore. Just have a drink, dance a little, and if you're not having fun, we can leave. I promise." I had sighed, given in, and now here I was, standing in someone's kitchen, gripping a red plastic cup filled with something I had barely sipped. The house was packed, the air thick with the scent of alcohol, sweat, and cheap cologne. I stayed close to Lauren and our other friend Jessica, trying to enjoy myself. That's when I first saw him. A man, standing alone near the sliding glass doors that led to the backyard. He wasn't bad-looking, but something about him made me uneasy. His gaze was too direct, his smile too fixed. He was watching me. I tried to ignore him, brushing it off as my imagination, but not long after, I felt someone step up beside me. "Hey," a voice said. I turned. It was him. "You look like you're not having much fun," he said, his smile widening. "I'm Ryan." "Ava," I said reluctantly. "Can I get you another drink?" "No, thanks," I said quickly, holding up my barely touched cup. His eyes flickered to it, then back to me. "Not a big drinker?" "Not really." "Smart girl," he said, smirking. "I respect that." I forced a polite smile and turned back to Lauren, hoping the conversation would end there. But Ryan didn't leave. "So Ava, do you live around here?" he pressed. "Not far." "Cool, me neither. I actually know the guy who owns this place. I come to these parties all the time. Never seen you before." "Yeah, I don't go out much," I admitted. "Well, you should. It's fun, and it's good to meet new people." His smile stretched just a little too wide. Something about him felt off. "Excuse me," I said, pretending to spot someone I knew. I quickly grabbed Lauren's arm and pulled her into the crowd. I thought that was the end of it. But he didn't stop watching me. Every time I glanced around the room, his eyes were there, sometimes from across the kitchen, sometimes near the living room. Each time I moved, he seemed to shift, always keeping me within sight. "That guy won't stop staring at you," Jessica whispered in my ear. "It's creepy." "I know," I muttered. "Let's go outside." We pushed through the crowd and stepped into the backyard, where a few people were gathered around the pool. The cool air felt like a relief. I exhaled and tried to relax, but the moment I turned toward the house, there he was, standing by the sliding doors, looking straight at me. "Okay, that's it. I'm leaving," I told Lauren and Jessica. "I don't like this." "Do you want us to come with you?" Lauren asked. "No, I'll just get a rideshare home." Lauren and Jessica both hesitated but nodded. "Text us when you're home," Jessica said. I stepped back inside, squeezing through the crowd toward the front door. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. I was almost there. Then I felt a hand on my wrist. I turned sharply. "Ryan, leaving already?" he asked. His grip was firm, too firm. I pulled away. "Yeah." "Come on, one more drink." He's leaning in too close. I said no. His expression darkened for half a second before he forced a chuckle. All right, just thought I'd try." I didn't say another word. I pushed through the door and walked fast to the street. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone to request a ride. 5 minutes. I stood under a streetlight, glancing back at the house. Ryan was at the front door watching me. My driver arrived and I got in, locking the doors as soon as I did. I tried to shake the feeling of unease, but something told me this wasn't over. I watched the house disappear in the rearview mirror. Then, about 5 minutes into the drive, my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. You shouldn't have left so soon." My blood ran cold. I looked up. The streetlights flashed past, casting long shadows over the car interior. My hands trembled as I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. Then another message. "Unknown number. See you soon." I stared at my phone, my breath coming in short gasps. I had never given him my number. I looked behind me, scanning the road. A black car was following us. "Sir," I said to my driver, trying to keep my voice calm, "can you take a different route?" "Everything okay?" he asked, glancing at me in the mirror. I hesitated. "I think someone's following me." He didn't question it. He turned onto a side street, speeding up. The black car followed. "I'm calling the police," I whispered, dialing with shaking fingers. Before I could hit call, the black car suddenly swerved and sped off in the opposite direction. I stared after it, my heart hammering. "Do you want me to take you to the police station?" my driver asked. I hesitated. No, just take me home. I wasn't sure why I said it. Maybe because I just wanted the night to be over. But as I stepped into my apartment, locking every bolt behind me, I couldn't shake the thought of what might have happened if I had stayed at that party a little longer. If I had had just one more drink, if I had been a little less cautious, what then? And worse, what if, when I walked in, he had already been here, waiting for me? I should have gone to a friend's place instead of coming back alone. Hosting a party always leaves me exhausted. The cleaning, the noise, the endless small talk. It's fun at first, but by the end of the night, I always find myself craving silence. That night was no different. I never expected the silence to feel so wrong. It started as a simple gathering, just close friends, some drinks, and a good time. I had been planning it for weeks, making sure the playlist was perfect, the snacks were stocked, and the house looked inviting. By 11 p.m., the party was in full swing. Laughter filled my small house, drinks were spilling, and someone had turned my living room into an impromptu dance floor. I wasn't complaining. This was exactly what I had wanted. One good night before the semester's workload swallowed me whole. By 1:30 a.m., the energy had started to fade. People filtered out, calling rides, stumbling down my front steps, promising to text me tomorrow. Within 30 minutes, the house was empty, or so I thought. Cleaning up after a party is the worst part. The smell of stale beer, half-eaten chips ground into the carpet, sticky countertops, it's overwhelming. I decided to start with the basics. Trash bags, opening windows, stacking empty cups. That's when I noticed it. The back door was unlocked. I froze. I could have sworn I had locked it before the party started. I double-checked every entrance. It was a habit. Maybe someone had stepped outside for a smoke and forgot to relock it. That had to be it. Still, I made sure it was secure before continuing. Then something creaked upstairs. I lived alone. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The house was supposed to be empty, but that sound, it was unmistakable. Floorboards shifting under weight, slow, deliberate. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Maybe it was just the house settling. Maybe the noise from the party had masked it before, or maybe someone was still inside. I grabbed my phone and stood frozen in the kitchen listening, silence. Then another creak, closer. I had two choices, run or check. I don't know why I went upstairs. The hallway was dark. I had turned off most of the lights when the party ended, leaving only the faint glow of the bathroom nightlight. Everything looked normal. My bedroom door slightly open, the guest room untouched, the bathroom door ajar. Except for one thing. The hall closet was open. I never left it open. It was always shut, always latched. But now, the door was cracked just enough that I could see the edge of a jacket sleeve hanging inside. My breath caught in my throat. Someone was hiding inside. I had no weapon, nothing to defend myself with, except my phone and a half-empty bottle of beer I still held from cleaning. I took a slow step back, trying not to make a sound, but the floor betrayed me with a soft creak. The closet door moved. I turned and ran. Down the stairs, skipping steps, nearly tripping as I reached the front door. My hands fumbled with the lock, my breath coming in gasps. I yanked the door open and stumbled onto my porch, slamming it shut behind me. I didn't stop running until I was in my neighbor's yard, pounding on their door. The police showed up within 10 minutes. I watched from my neighbor's house as they searched my home, flashlights cutting through the darkness. They found no one, but they did find something else. The hall closet door was wide open. My bedroom window was unlocked, though I knew for a fact I had locked it before the party. Footprints. Dirt tracked across the hallway floor, leading from the closet to the window. Leading out. Whoever had been in my house had escaped before the police arrived. I didn't sleep that night. Even with the doors locked, even with the police assuring me they'd patrol the neighborhood, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching me for hours. Had they been in my house before the party ended? Had they slipped in while the music was loud, while people were coming and going? Or had they been inside before the party even started? I checked my security footage the next day. At 10:47 p.m., while the party was still going, the camera facing my backyard caught movement. A figure, standing in the shadows, watching. They never came to the front door. They never knocked. They never entered with the guests. They had already been there. I've never been the type to enjoy parties. Too many people, too much noise, and an overwhelming sense that something is always about to go wrong. But when my best friend Jake insisted that I come to his house party last weekend, I let myself be convinced. I should have stayed home. Jake's text came out of nowhere. "Big party at my place Saturday. You have to come. No excuses." I hesitated. Crowded rooms and loud music weren't my thing, but Jake was my best friend. And besides, it wasn't like I had any other plans. "Fine, I'll be there." I regretted it the second I hit send. Jake lived in a large house on the edge of town. His parents were wealthy, always away on business trips, which meant his place was the usual spot for parties. When I pulled up, the house was already pulsing with music, and the front yard was littered with cars. Inside, it was even worse. The air smelled like cheap beer and sweat, bodies packed into every corner, shouting over the music. I pushed my way through, looking for Jake. Something felt off. I couldn't place it, but the usual excitement of a party wasn't there. People were drinking and laughing, but their eyes seemed distant, like they weren't really there. I finally found Jake in the kitchen, laughing with some friends. He slapped my back, handing me a drink. "Took you long enough," he grinned. "Go have fun." I forced a smile and wandered down the hall. That's when I saw her. A girl stood at the end of the dimly lit hallway, staring at me. Her long, dark hair clung to her face, her dress slightly torn at the hem. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. I took a step closer. "Hey, are you okay?" No response. Then, just as I was about to reach her, the lights flickered and she was gone. I turned to go back to the kitchen, trying to shake off the unease, when I noticed something else. One of the doors in the hallway was slightly ajar. Curiosity got the better of me. I nudged it open and peered inside. The room was dark and cold, the only light coming from a single bare bulb in the ceiling. The air smelled damp, like something had been left to rot. Then I saw it. A pile of old, torn clothes in the corner. At first, I thought it was just a mess of forgotten laundry. But then I saw the stains, dark red, dried. I backed out of the room quickly, my breath shallow. Someone grabbed my arm. I spun around, heart hammering. It was the girl. She was closer now, her eyes wide, desperate. "You need to leave," she whispered. My skin prickled. "What?" "They're watching. They don't like when people see." I glanced back at the room, then at her. Boom. But before she could answer, someone called my name. "Jake." I turned toward his voice. When I looked back, the girl was gone. Jake was grinning at me, drink in hand. "Dude, you good? You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a laugh. "Just thought I saw someone." His grin faltered for a split second before he covered it up with a laugh. "Come on, man. Let's get another drink." I wasn't in the mood. But before I could refuse, the music cut out. A hush fell over the crowd. The lights dimmed, flickering like they were struggling to stay on. Then, from somewhere in the house, a low, guttural whisper crawled through the silence. Jake grabbed my wrist, his grip too tight. "Come with me." I didn't have a choice. He led me toward the basement door, shoving it open. "You need to see this." Every part of me screamed, "Don't go down there," but I did. The basement was colder than the rest of the house, the cement walls damp, the air thick with the scent of mildew and something else. Something metallic. There was a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, swaying slightly. Beneath it, a circle of people standing perfectly still. They turned in unison, their faces pale, hollow-eyed. Jake let go of my wrist and stepped forward. "It's your turn." My stomach twisted. "For what?" The circle parted, revealing something behind them. A chair, old and wooden, sitting in the center of the room. Straps dangled from the armrests. I took a step back. "Jake." The people moved closer. Their eyes were black now. Jake grinned. "Don't fight it. It'll be easier that way." The lights cut out completely, and then I felt hands on me. I woke up in my car, parked a mile away from Jake's house. My head was pounding. My arms were sore. I checked my phone. No missed calls, no texts. The party had never happened. But as I reached for the ignition, my sleeve slid up, revealing something on my wrist. A bruise in the shape of a handprint, and in my backseat lying on the floor, a torn, blood-stained dress, the same one the girl had been wearing. started with a text from my best friend Olivia. "We're hitting up Phantom Lounge tonight. You have to come." I hesitated. Clubs weren't really my thing. I preferred a quiet bar or a chill night in. But Olivia was persistent, and I hadn't seen her in weeks. "Fine, but I'm not staying late." Famous last words. Phantom Lounge was one of the trendiest clubs downtown, packed wall to wall with flashing lights, pounding bass, and a crowd of people moving in sync to the music. Olivia and I pushed our way through the bodies until we reached the bar. "Let's do shots," she grinned, ordering 2 tequila shots before I could protest. I sighed, taking a sip instead of downing it. 1 drink, then I'd switch to water. That was my rule. That's when I saw him. Tall, well-dressed, confident, he was standing by the bar, watching me. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but every time I glanced in his direction, his eyes were already on me. "That guy won't stop staring," I murmured to Olivia. She turned, giving him a once-over. "He's hot. Maybe he's into you." "Maybe," I muttered, but something about him made my skin crawl. Then, just as I looked away, he was suddenly beside me. "Hey," he said smoothly, leaning in close. "Can I buy you a drink?" "I'm good, thanks," I replied, holding up my half-full glass. "Come on, just one?" I said, "I'm good." His smile didn't fade, but something in his eyes hardened. "All right, enjoy your night." He walked away and I exhaled. Olivia rolled her eyes. "You're too paranoid." But I knew better. For a while I forgot about him, until I went to the bathroom. The hallway leading to the restrooms was quieter, away from the pulsing music and flashing lights. I had just pushed the door open when I felt a hand close around my wrist. I turned sharply. It was him. "Hey," he said, his grip firm. "Just wanted to talk." I yanked my hand away. "I already told you I'm not interested." His smile was gone now. "Relax, I'm just being friendly." "Then take the hint and leave me alone." For a moment he didn't move. I thought he might try to grab me again, but then he took a step back, raising his hands in mock surrender. All right, no need to be rude." I didn't answer. I pushed into the bathroom and locked myself in a stall, my hands shaking. After telling Olivia what happened, she brushed it off. "He's just a creep. If he tries again, we'll handle it." But I was done for the night. "I'm getting a rideshare home." She protested, but I insisted. She was staying with a guy she met, and I didn't want to ruin her night. I requested a ride. 5 minutes. As I waited outside, the cool air a relief against my skin, my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. You shouldn't have left." A chill ran through me. I hadn't given him my number. I turned, scanning the street. A black SUV was idling nearby. My ride pulled up and I jumped in, locking the doors. "Everything all right?" the driver asked. "Yeah," I lied. "Just take me home." A few weeks later, I came across a chilling news article. A young woman had gone missing after a night out at Phantom Lounge. The report mentioned that security footage showed her leaving the club with an unidentified man. My stomach dropped as I clicked on the video stills attached to the article. There he was, the same man who had followed me that night. The same confident smile, the same piercing stare. The last known image of the girl was her walking out the door with him, disappearing into the night. She was never seen again.